Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the SS Ultimate Goku back with another video, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Avatar: The Live Action Series Season 2, Episode 14 review. Alrighty, so Episode 14. It starts off with, how it ended with Appa being captured. Aang is in the Avatar state. He's all upset. Then when he gets out of it, he blames Toph, even though Toph saved him. Right? So there's that. Same thing like how the canon material happened, right? But yeah, while this is going on, Zuko is all upset. He's suffering, right? He is talking to his uncle, right? Because he's at a crossroads and he had a chance to capture Aang while he was in the spirit world, but he decided not to. So now he's like in turmoil right now. Uncle Iroh gives him talk, says he's gonna get him in the tea shop or whatever there. Very similar to how things went. You know what I mean there. So then Zuko gets a tea job, and then they do the whole scene with him and Jin, who was working at the tea shop in this. They go on their date. It's not relatively long, and they don't show like the fire were already lit. So you didn't get that whole, closing her eyes and he lights it himself with the fire bending. So, the scene is it's not as more emotional as it was in the original. Like it felt very flat and rushed. And I guess they just wanted to take because they wanted to focus on the core of the plot. But I am glad they did somewhat keep this in. I always thought the Jin pairing with Zuko was always a cool pairing. Even though I know May is the one that I think will be canon. I mean, it's not officially canon, but based on the comic books, I think it will be. But yeah, I thought that was cool that they were able to still fit that in, even though they really time constrained it. But anyways, so that was going on. So Iroh attended a meeting with John for the White Lotus. And now, again, this is John, was one of the Fire Nation Abanders in the original. However, he was not in Ba Sing Se at this point. As a matter of fact, he wasn't a Fire Nation refugee in Ba Sing Se. Right? He was a general. They made it seem like he was not a general. I mean, that he was fighting under Uncle Iroh, and his son. You know, we've seen him obviously in the previous episode, but you know, and again, they took away the whole Fire Nation thing, or not the the whole firebending plot of him teaching Aang fire bending. Um, I don't know, man. I just, again, a lot of things were just kind of consolidated or just left alone. In this, Azula was interrogated by Long Feng. You have the classic, you know, divine right to rule is from people that are born, not people that are, you know, just given it. You know, they put that in there. But again, the whole atmosphere of that whole scene is different because she's actually in jail right now. He talks about, or she gives away things about the general and whatnot. And that leads a conflict as well because she is actually trying to help Team Avatar get to the king, which she does aid him. She aids Team Avatar to get to the king by putting them in like these big giant container things. However, Long Feng, I think, kind of figures out things that you know she did by Azula's information. So he's just like, you know, basically saying that your daughter will be a part of Lake Laogai. And so she's just not happy about this. So, of course, she ends up turning on Team Avatar and their information because of this to protect her daughter. Um, Aang finds the king, who's just doing plants and stuff like that. Like, he's just admiring the plants. He doesn't like to go through conflicts and stuff like that. This king is, like, even more kind of softer than, I think, in the actual original, because in the original, he at least knew what was going on. You know, I mean, not the Fire Nation stuff, but he was always briefed on things, and whatnot. And he also had a bear too. You know, the bear's not in attendance, in this apparently. Bosco not in attendance. Um. Anyways, uh. Yeah, I just think I don't know how I feel about it. He's just not, you know, he's the king, but he's just like, I don't want to be known about political matters, and I'm like, dude, you're the fucking king. Like, when he said that, I was like, dude, you're the king. You're the king of the nation. Like, what? I mean, that's even worse than, like, in the original. At least original, I mean, they knew he had the power. He had the power. He just never really used it because he just listened to Long Feng. In this one, he's just like, I don't want to be bothered with anything. I just let everyone else do everything for me. You know, I'm like, but you're the fucking king. Okay? So Team Avatar, they're talking to him, explaining, and they show him like the, you know, black sun and all this other stuff. Again, they're blindsided because the general turns on them. And you know, to protect her daughter. And you know, they talk about the Fire Nation, how bad they are, and what they're trying to do. And the Earth King, I think, wants to believe him, but then Long Feng is telling him, oh, well, they've done this. You know, Katara dressed it up as the Painted Lady and did other things. And, Toph was, her parents are tied to the Fire Nation because they made ships for him or whatever. And, they made up the thing about Sokka and, Sai, because obviously Sai was taken by Long Feng and the Dai Li. But they used that against them. Aang gets upset and goes in the Avatar state because he believes that Long Feng took his bison, which again he did. Again, this is a change from the original. In the original, Appa was originally taken by Sandbenders. Then he escapes. Thanks to Zuko, no, he did escape before that. And then Long Feng got him, and then Zuko got him. Or Zuko freed him, I should say. Zuko freed him from Long Feng, and the Earth King, or the Earth Kingdom, or Ba Sing Se. And that was what led to Zuko's crossroad moment. However, they changed that, and instead they did the whole thing with Zuko in the last episode, where he, was thinking about taking Aang while he was in the spirit world, but didn't. So they changed that, all of that, and then just decided that Long Feng would just be the one who captured him, or take Appa. In this. Yeah, I don't know how that feels, but I mean, that's just what they decided to do, I guess. At the end of the day, Long Feng is not arrested in this like he is in the original. When the king finds out about what the Dai Li and Long Feng had been doing, but he does tell them, I would like direct reports about the Fire Nation, because that part he does believe that the Fire Nation is, attacking the city, and even the general flat out tells Long Feng, hey, your grip on this city is falling apart. Even with you containing me, he knows about the Fire Nation now. That's something you're not going to be able to. And she's basically saying that, you're not going to be able to undo that. He knows about the Fire Nation now. So that happens. After this revelation, Team Avatar are all pissed off at each other. And again, this is a common trend that this season is doing for this live action series, unfortunately, is that they're fusing a lot of things together that didn't happen in this order, and they're putting it into different plots. I don't really think that was good. Like, most of it, I don't think it's good. But that's what they're doing here. This conflict was a conflict that they had before they got to Ba Sing Se. And they're recycling it in Ba Sing Se. But they're doing it at the Dai Li's expense for some reason. Yeah, so that happens. They all eventually split up. Toph meets up with her mother and gets a hug. Katara ends up going and dressing up as the Painted Lady again. You got Zuko as the Blue Spirit. They end up inadvertently fighting teaming together against the Dai Li. They end up losing and they get captured. Then we got Sokka, who actually runs into Ty Lee. dressed up as a Kyoshi warrior, because they had mentioned that the Kyoshi warriors were in, but they hadn't directly seen the Kyoshi warriors in the city. So this was one thing that kind of like surprised me out of most of the things in this episode, was the thing they did with Ty Lee here, because obviously Azula was arrested. Obviously, Long Feng knows that Azula, or knows that that Azula is not a Kyoshi warrior. You know, she was disguising herself as a Kyoshi warrior. So he knows that she isn't a Kyoshi warrior. So why does he think that the two other that were with Azula are not Fire Nation, but are Kyoshi warriors? You know what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, why were they not arrested? You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they weren't present with Azula, but, I mean, obviously, Azula was dressed up as a Kyoshi warrior with them. So how wouldn't they know that they aren't Kyoshi warriors? So that's one thing that I don't get. Like, that just kind of just totally went past the writers for some reason. That why wouldn't the Dai Li agents not think that the two other Kyoshi warriors aren't the real Kyoshi warriors? So, yeah, there's that. Aang is like, he's just basically sulking on the ground or whatever, and he hears rumblings from, you know, the seismic sense or whatever, the vibrations. And because of this, Aang realizes Appa is underground. And, you know, you hear Appa roaring and stuff like that, and that's how the episode ends. They ended it like that for some reason. I mean, there's only one episode left after this, okay? They don't have 8 episodes this season. They only have 7, okay? We're still not preparing for battle. Obviously, that's going to happen in the last episode, but there's no setup for the battle, okay? They haven't arrested Long Feng, okay? How are we here? You know things are coming. You know things are happening, but yet you are allowing him to still roam around when you know that shit's happening. That's the biggest problem here. Like, they need to, he needed to arrest Long Feng just for the fact that he knew about the Fire Nation stuff and he kept it under wraps. He needed to be arrested for that, because now you have to now deal with the fact that everybody is falling victim to him, while you have a fucking Fire Nation princess in Ba Sing Se right now. Again, the logical changes here just don't make sense compared to the original. All right. It's not realistic for the, you know, why he would do all this, but not realize that, hey, I had to arrest this guy because this guy is screwing things up and we might get, you know, we might get conquered. Now, of course, that ends up happening anyways in the original, but it only happens because Azula makes a deal with the Dai Li after he gets arrested, or gets Long Feng, after he gets arrested. Not because we're gonna just keep everything under wraps and hope for the best. Like, this king is like, this version of the King is much more softer than the one from the original, even though the original one was soft too. Like it's just really, it's kind of weird that they're going that way with this, and we got Team Avatar broken up right now. Not a really good setup for a season finale, if you ask me. So yeah, that's how the episode ends. And very interesting to see what they do for the season finale, because I mean, again, a lot of things are rushed. I mean, are they gonna rush the conquering of Ba Sing Se in this too, or are we just gonna or are we just not gonna even do that, right? Maybe they just change it all, right? I mean, most of this season they've fused things together anyways at this point. Yeah, I am very curious what they're going to do. Because they have to get on the offensive, and the only way they can get on the offensive is if Team Avatar's involved. Since most of the Earth soldiers, Kingdom soldiers, or the Dai Li people are totally on Long Feng's side, so even if they arrest him, they're going to be on his side. So I just think they're really not really figuring this the whole point of what they should have adapted here. But again, I said this from the beginning. They're mostly just doing what's it called? Again, the biggest problem is that they focused on Ba Sing Se mostly in this season. After one episode, they're in Ba Sing Se in the second episode, and then they're there for the rest of the season. I think that was a huge mistake. I think there should have been a couple episodes before they went to Ba Sing Se. Also, I think they should have done 8 episodes. I still don't know why they only did 7 episodes. You did 8 episodes in the previous season. You should have done 8 episodes. At least with an extra episode, it could have flushed things out more, because a lot of this just feels very rushed. A lot of scenes just kind of didn't get as much time as they should be getting. And I can only imagine what's going to happen in the final episode of this season. So yeah, guys, that is it. That is the review for this episode. Make sure to comment, rate. If you like this video, my videos, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell for the latest contents. Thank you. And that's about it, guys. I am the SS Ultimate Goku, and I'm out of here. Peace! Also, make sure to follow me on, besides my YouTube channel, follow me on the Twitch, the Instagram. We do have a Discord link in the description where we discuss various topics, including this one here. Also, don't want to go to Discord. I do have a YouTube community post where I post a lot of different things about things I haven't been able to cover on video. So make sure to check out that. And now I'm out. Peace.